Get pumped up.
All right, we're live.
Woo! We are live here today for Get Down with Skyler. We have our amazing guest here, the precious Kaitlan, Esther, and we will be going over reverse board and train. Nailed that. So I'm so excited. Kaitlan, thank you so much for us here.
Of course, I'm happy to be here, happy to help however I can. So I'm so happy to be your first guest on this little TV show that we have going on. So let's make this awesome.
Touch those dogs. Oh gosh, she's just so adorable. Okay, let's get ahead and dive deep into this. So I do have some questions, and I know we all do, especially with us being trainers. We're wanting to bring more awareness and more positive experiences, regardless, with our positive reinforcement training. So I'm so excited to have her energy and her input and her perspective and everything that we can apply with more of our training methods today. And as us as individuals. So this is so stokingly. Okay, so Kaitlan, how can we better land our board and train and reverse board and train clients?
So the biggest thing with board and train and reverse board and train is that you don't want to just say every dog needs to do one or the other, because it's not going to be the best option for every dog. So there are some dogs where it might be the most effective protocol, but because of the fact that dogs are contextual learners and that they learn very similarly to autistic people do, then they don't always learn, or they don't always retain the information when just the trainer's working with them. So it's great for puppies, in particular puppies that are young and are able to just absorb everything like a sponge, similarly to the way young children do. But so the best way to land them is to really just make sure that's going to be what's best for the dog, and be completely genuine with the client when you're talking to them. If they have a puppy that they aren't able to be there throughout the day, and they expect the puppy to hold or to be potty trained while the dog is in the kennel for 8 hours a day, it's just not going to happen. So that's when we would say, reverse board and train would be your better option. That way our trainer can help, make a schedule for you. And stuff like that. So it's, we can definitely land them more just by being genuine with the clients, really.
That's amazing. I love how you're putting all the honest and genuine in the reassurance, because that's what our pet parents and then us in general look for, right?
Right.
That's so great. Oh, what an amazing answer. Okay. And just to let you guys know, if you have any questions that you want to ask while during this meet, you can, what is it, Kaitlan? They can put it in the text to the right in the group chat.
I think that will work, hopefully. We're still kind of new to this, so if we aren't able to view it, we're sorry.
But we'll definitely answer them later for sure.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome sauce. Okay, so what are some key points, and moving on to the next one, because I'm just so excited of answering or asking all these questions. Okay. It's like stimulating for all of us. So, okay, diving deep. What are some key points you can give us to be more strategic with handling reverse board and train responsibilities? So keeping track of our expenses, the observations, our training methods with our clients and their pups.
So I think, so I really dive in more. I do more of the daytime reverse board and train, which you really have to be on a schedule, because you're there for 6 hours a day. And if a client feels like you're wasting their money by, just having a lot of downtime, then you're not going to have that client. The client's going to be really upset, and the office is going to hear about it, and it's just a whole big mess. So the biggest thing is time management. So figure out what you're going to do. A lot of times reverse board and trains are with, at least the daytime option is usually with puppies, working on different things like that. Everybody should know that puppies have a very short attention span. So if you're planning on the very first 3 hours, just like working on, walking nicely on leash and working on your basic commands and body training, it's not going to happen. So you need to work on time management as far as, maybe the first 30 minutes we're working on, or maybe not even 30 minutes. You're doing 15 minutes of active training that I like to call. So actively training them to walk nicely on leash, and then maybe do a 15, 20-minute break of passive training. So playing with the toy, throwing the toy, having them play with the toy, having them drop the toy. So drop it is, you can teach drop it like that. Having them drop the toy, then maybe asking them to sit before they go and run and get the toy. So those are more passive training, because the dog doesn't really realize that that's what you're doing. And
it puts more excitement into the experience and the training for sure.
Right. Right. And let's say you get to the point where the dog is just done, and they're ready for a nap or whatever. So I've done this several times where I usually in the first 3 hours I'll give the dog about a 30-minute nap time period if it's a puppy, because you can't overdo it. You don't want them to get all frustrated and then not enjoy the process. So in that 30-minute time that they are napping or whatever they're doing, that's when I would work on a log, like a daily log. I literally write out, from 9 to 9:30 we did this, from 9:30 to 10 we worked on this, the puppy was struggling with this but did really well with this, and giving that to the pet parents. They really, really appreciate having a daily log and knowing exactly what you went over with their dog, and then they don't feel like that time was wasted, because yes, the puppy was sleeping, but you were working on making sure they were informed on what was going on. So that is probably the biggest thing with reverse board and train. As far as expenses go,
before we dive deep into the expenses, I just want to say that's amazing with the strategic of having that time frame and what you've worked on during those time frames as well too. I think that's awesome. I think that's very helpful. So thank you so much for mentioning that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for expenses for the daytime, really, honestly, for me, I haven't had too many other than like treats and gas. So that's actually kind of a question I want to fire back at you, because you do the Rockstar reverse board and train where you are going across country and doing all that. So how do you manage the expenses of that?
So, I love these questions that we are asking each other. It's just so great. So what I like to personally do, what's helped me out, is the self QuickBook. That has all my expenses in there. And that honestly keeps me organized.
Girl, that's a lifesaver.
It is. I know some people like to have it on a computer. I know some people like to have it on paper, and it's just whatever works best for them. But personally for me, and I don't know, probably for you as well too, mines are just racing, and the self QuickBook really helps out for it. So that's what I would definitely say if you guys are wanting to try something out like that for organizing for expenses.
Yes, you can deduct travel expenses. You can deduct when you go buy treats. Honestly, like I use my
taxes.
I use my pets for socialization. So like this little cat right here, wherever he went, any vaccinations that he gets done, I write that off because he works for me when I have puppies over for board and train.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anything like that, because they socialize. People love when they do board and train. I'm like, oh yeah, I have cats. They're like, you'll socialize my dog with cats? And I was like, yeah, I got 3 of them. So
that's so great.
I was like, I got dogs, cats, we could do it.
One balance harmony for sure.
Yep. I was like, so they work for me. So I write off their expenses as well. Their employees, a karma dog. Little does Jeff know. So he didn't know he had cats.
I'm sure he's grateful for it. Yeah. This is really helpful regardless. Yes.
Yeah. So, and then with board and train. So,
and the observation and the trainings for that. Yes.
Yeah. So board and train is a different monster, because you have the dog, or at least,
I love how you say monster. I want to just, why do you choose to use that word?
Because you're like, if you do the overnight, obviously even with the reverse board and train overnight, but board and train overnight, you're putting this dog in a completely new environment. And so depending on the dog, sometimes they get anxiety that you have to work on. It's pretty minimal for puppies usually. But it's, you're working in your environment. So the dog has to get accompanied to your environment, which I find is very helpful, because I have a set of rules and foundations that is expected of dogs in my house.
Oh, can you go ahead and share that with us?
So just some of the basic ones, like you don't get to jump on people. That's just like the basic rule. Don't terrorize the cats. That's another basic rule, which they're pretty good at monitoring that themselves. They take care of themselves.
Right.
But not rushing through doorways, because that's
really
rude.
Good. Yes, for safety and yeah. I agree.
It's rude. So it's just something that no matter what, like you don't get to rush through a doorway, even if it's going into the backyard or whatever. There's no rushing through doorways. Anytime you want anything, you need to sit. So it's a basic foundation. It doesn't matter if I'm getting paid to train this dog or not. Like I am going to make sure like these are things that I expect of the household. So because of the fact that that's expected in my household and that's what my dogs do, it makes it easier for the dogs that I bring in because they're like, oh, look, that dog is doing that and getting what he wants or what she wants. And it's like, yeah, that's how this works in this household. Like, we have manners. We have manners. So when you're bringing a puppy or dog into your house and working with them, it is at the very least a home environment. So it's not like sending them off to some board and train facility where I always explain this to clients. I'm like, that's a sterile environment. So it's not real. It, while your dog's there, excuse me, while your dog's there, they're going to perform well and do everything extremely well because it's sterile. So even my house is more sterile than a client's house just because it's very controlled in the fact that the dogs that are here are already trained. There's different rules and expectations in my house than there might be at a client's house. Just like
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to go back to the sterile. Could you define what you were meaning by that, just in case that there's other Karma dog trainers who are very interested in what those choices of words you're meaning in depth?
Yeah. So by sterile, what I mean is that it's a very controlled environment. And life is not a controlled environment. So it's very, very controlled. So everything that goes on is very controlled, especially, like I said, if you take them to a board and train facility where, they have a 5x8 room that they're in, and that's where they're going to spend all their time training. And there's no furniture, there's no, there's maybe concrete floor and very minimal going on as far as distractions. So there was obviously distractions in my house. I have a 9-month-old blind cat who's a terrorist.
He's adorable. He's on Snapchat all the time. I love it. She is adorable.
I love her to death, but she's a terrorist. She's in that teenage stage, so she loves to play with dogs. Like, she has no fear of dogs whatsoever.
That's so great.
But I go to work with the dog, and then here she comes attacking their tail. So it's true story.
I love it.
So it's still, it's not as sterile as that environment, but it's more controlled just because I'm experienced as far as working with dogs. So it's not going to be as if the client is working with dogs. I tell people all the time, I can get your dog to listen to me. That's easy. The trick is getting them to listen to you.
Yeah. So. Yes. But the truth, and they need to hear. That's what they want to hear for sure. It gets them more into focus.
It is. So I always use very, very low value treats when I'm training a dog because I don't want them to only listen to me. And I might use slightly higher value treats when I'm having the client work with their dog. So they want to work with their dog or the dog wants to work with them more than they want to work with me. Although I'm like the fun treat lady, so they always love me. But
I love these answers. I kind of want to direct back to the client, the pet parent. So what are some challenges that you've had of working with a pet parent, of getting the dog to listen to them?
Honestly, it's just consistency. For example, if I'm teaching a dog to walk nicely on leash, anytime the dog puts any tension on leash whatsoever, I stop. The pet parent's like, oh, but they're not really pulling. And I'm like, they're pulling. You need to stop. So it's really just getting them to be consistent. And I'm like, and anytime that leash is taut, you need to stop or change direction. And the parents are like, they'll just kind of let the dog drag them a little bit. And I was like, no, this is why the dog is not listening or not responding to you as well as they respond to me. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really the biggest thing is like, I just really reining into the client that consistency is key.
Yes.
So you have to remain consistent. You have to make sure that the dog understands exactly what you're asking of them every time you ask it of them.
Absolutely. And do you mix it up with switching direction, stopping? Do you base it upon the dog itself? Because I know case by case varies for sure.
Yeah.
Or do you keep that routine consistent with stopping and changing directions?
It depends on the dog. So most of the time I will walk in a circle. And I'm like, all right, we're going to keep doing this. So you want to give me slack on the leash? I can get dizzy, you can get dizzy, but this is what we're doing until you want to give me slack on the leash. Just because I do find that a lot of times it's easier for dogs to understand when they're in motion. If you just stop, they're kind of like, oh, what are we doing? I don't know. So it depends on the dog. It also, so sometimes I will stop, but most of the time I just change direction and I'll just keep going in circles because it's easier for me to stay in motion. It's easier for the dog to stay in motion for them to get it.
Absolutely. And when you talk about this of what to do, change in direction and going in circles and things of that matter. How have your clients responded to this?
I show my clients, and I always reward them. I'm like, be careful, you're going to get dizzy. So make sure you look up. But I show my clients, and I make sure my clients always practice while I'm there, so I can help critique them and show them, how to better do it. Not that they're doing it wrong, but how to improve, to make sure that they're sending very clear signals to their dogs.
Absolutely. Yes, to better guide and direct. And that's what we're here for as trainers, right? It's to help guide them into those tools.
Right.
That's so awesome. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what has been one of your most favorable and memorable experiences with reverse board and train daytime in board and train?
So honestly, it's probably my most recent one that I had. I had 2 miniature Dachshund litter mates. And they are so stinking cute. I actually had them for reverse board and train daytime as well as board and train.
Oh, that's so great. It was meant to be.
Yeah, no, because I needed them, after doing a few days of reverse board and train daytime, I talked to the pet parent and I was like, I really think, based on what I'm seeing, it'd be better if I had them for a 24-hour period for a week. So that's what I did, and it worked out phenomenally because they were able to generalize from my house to their house because I worked in both environments with them for an extensive period of time. But my favorite thing is, I'm sure, all trainers know the challenges that come with having litter mates. More often than not, clients don't know that before they get litter mates. This client was one of those. She was like, oh, I thought I was doing a good thing. I was like, it's not a bad thing. I'm just letting you know what the possibilities are. We're going to try to work to combat any of that. But, I just wanted you to understand some of the challenges that come with having litter mates typically, but we're going to work to combat that and make sure they're well socialized and they're able to be confident as individuals. They need to understand that they can be confident individuals as well as happy together.
Right.
So,
yes, it's like having twins.
Right. So, but luckily these little guys they were so good. So it was really interesting. After training with them, I told the pet parent, I was like, based on what I saw, it's really awesome to see how their personalities develop individually from one another. So whenever I work
always so rewarding.
Yes. So, after working with them, we found that one is very, very, very independent and cat-like. He played with Tinkerbell a lot, which is my blind cat, for those of you who didn't know. He loved Tinkerbell so much so that the pet parent almost thought about getting a cat for him.
Oh, wow. That's so great.
So he loved her. And then the other one was a little bit more timid and reserved and very clingy to people. So we worked more on the clingy one. We worked on his confidence building, and he was extremely fearful of any other dog that tried to play with him. So one of the reasons why I said bring him to my house is because they needed that extra socialization badly with other dogs. So what
type of techniques did you apply into that?
For the socialization?
For the timid one.
So I held him and let him held him while he was meeting other dogs so he could see that it wasn't so scary. For those of you who know me mostly, or know me at least enough to have me on Snapchat, you know that I have Sadie Mae, who is a very vocal, friendly, silly pit bull.
Yes, and she's famous on Snapchat.
She loves small dogs. They are her favorite things ever. So she's extremely intimidating, though, when it comes to a small dog because she's vocal. She plays extremely appropriately, she doesn't hurt or anything like that. She stays low, but she's vocal. So I helped work on him with her, showing that she's not scary. I also had to work on her being quiet because she, again, is scary. Doesn't help that she's a pit bull who likes to talk. So I did that, as well as I also took him to group classes with me. I took both of them in group classes with me, but I would make sure when we were in group classes, they were separated from one another and playing with. So the way we separate our group classes here in San Antonio is we do it kind of based on size, but more based on play style. I've actually had a boxer who was super gentle and super delicate, who played with the miniature Dachshunds. And then I've had French Bulldogs, especially French Bulldogs, who go play with the big dogs because they are all kinds of sassy. And I love them for it. Yes. So I would take them to the group classes, and I would put put Charlie, which was the timid one, I'd put him over with the calmer dog so that he could have, you know, he wasn't too overwhelmed. And then I would put Gunther, his brother, who was wild and crazy, over with the larger, more active dogs because he played really well with them. So I purposely was like, okay, all the exposure I can get to be around other dogs. So it already helped that they're around my 2 other dogs as well as my cats for socialization purposes to help build that confidence up around other animals. And then taking them to the group classes that I teach also helped out a lot.
That's just so great. I'm just feeling, processing everything. That's just amazing. And the fact that you're doing that and bringing a better experience to these pups is seriously making a huge difference out of everything.
Oh, their confidence like skyrocketed after they were with me. And now they're continuing puppy classes separately because like I told her, I was like, the biggest thing is you need to let them build themselves up as individuals before letting them cling together.
Absolutely. Yes. And she's following through with that.
Yes, she's doing great. She's awesome. So I'm just happy that she's following, taking my advice under consideration and really following it to the T. So she's doing awesome.
And they're doing great. Yes. Oh, thank you so much for that update with them. And I know that made you really happy as well, too, just hearing that process.
I just love when people are like, oh, my dog's doing awesome. I'm like, great, good. Let's keep it up.
Yes. We love that consistency. Yes. I wanted to ask you about what do you feel of how we can help with bringing, because I know with certain breeds, right, clients that we get, and especially whenever they discuss if they have a smaller pup, that they're a little bit kind of nervous of bringing the smaller pup to a bigger dog. And sometimes they have the labels of the breeds in there. So the pit bulls, German shepherds, huskies, Alaskan malamutes, Great Danes, things of that sort. So what do you think that we can do to help transition their mind of focusing, dogs don't really see size, they see energy. And that's what that is. And I love how you were talking about that, how Sadie was so vocal, you know what I mean? Like, she wasn't going to hurt the smaller pup. She was just expressing herself, but you're also knowing how to redirect that energy as well, too. So I kind of wanted to add on additional to whenever you had brought that up.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I do for one is Sadie and Rupert. Rupert's my other dog. They have an Instagram.
I got to add them. Right after this, I got to add them. Send me that information.
Yes. So this is on purpose because of the fact that, one, whenever I have clients that are hesitant with the fact that I have a pit bull, there are countless videos and pictures of her on there with, dozens and dozens of different types of dogs, just playing with them or sitting near them or anything like that. And I'm like, listen, I have a pit bull. One, I'm a dog trainer. Two, she's my love. I love this dog so freaking much. And three, she, if anyone knows her story, which I tell it a lot, she was abused before I got her. She had all kinds of issues. She had severe trust issues. She had dog aggression issues. She had people aggression issues. She had severe resource guarding to the point where I would call it food aggression. It was more than just resource guarding. Mm-hmm. And so I worked really, 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 really hard to turn that around. And now she's great. She's around dogs all the time. She's around people. She's around cats all the time.
Yes.
So because of that, I tell people her story and they're like, oh, well, she's going to eat my dog. No, she's not. Go look. She loves small dogs. Go look at her Instagram. I'll show you videos. I have a video of her playing with a 9-week-old lab puppy who she was just sounding like she was going to eat him.
Right.
Like she sounded so scary. Yeah. She just sounds so scary. And this puppy did not care. He was just playing with her. They were just going at it, having a great time. And I was like, listen, you can hear that she sounds scary, but look at her body language. Right. Look at how she's playing.
Yes.
She is clearly not hurting that puppy at all. Cause like I said, she plays really appropriately. And they were just having a great time. So that's the biggest tool I use is, which if you don't have, it's a lot harder if you don't have, a type of breed like that. So I have in my family, I have a pit bull. My brother has a German Shepherd. My other brother has a Rottweiler. So
I love it.
We have these scary breeds that people are always scared of. So I always, I'll use them. I'll either use them as examples or something and say, listen, all of these dogs have been around small dogs and they do great. Honestly, right. I tell people all the time, especially if I've had it in class before, where someone has a small dog. Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm like, give me your dog. Give me your dog right now. And I'm going to introduce your dog to this dog that you're scared of. I'm not going to let you do it because something bad's going to happen if you do it because of how
the energy, yes, and their body language.
Yes, because they're going to be nervous, which makes their dog nervous, which makes the other dog nervous. So
Absolutely.
I've done this many, many, many times. Where I'm just like, listen, I'm reading the body language of these dogs right now. They're fine. If you just let me show you that they're going to be okay, then you'll see that it's you. It's not the dog.
Yeah, it's just the reflection. Yes, absolutely. Right. And then whenever you do show them that, what do they say?
It definitely helps calm them down and gives them a peace of mind to where they feel more comfortable. It takes a lot more than just one time for them to be like, oh yeah, I'm fine with my little dog meeting all big dogs. And I tell people you don't assume every dog is friendly. There are some pit bulls, Rottweilers, German Shepherds, Chihuahuas, Dachshunds, every dog breed. There's always going to be some of them that either aren't socialized very well with other dogs or are, just have some kind of issue and don't need to be meeting other dogs while on walks. But aggressive dogs need walks too. So,
so release that energy because it's so pent up. Yes.
Right. So don't assume that your dog can meet every dog. For one, it's good manners, especially people with Goldens in particular. They're like, oh, but he's so friendly. He wants to say hi. And I'm like, yeah, do you want to punch him in the face? No, like some dog is going to punch him in the face if he just goes and says hi to every dog. There's a time to say hi and there's a time to just walk past.
Right. To iterate that proper meet and greet, which I feel that, of us, where we came from, either by what we've grown up with, surrounded ourselves with, TVs that we watch, things of that matter, that we haven't been really set up for success of how to properly meet a dog, to do those soft meet and greets. So I think that's very extraordinary that you're bringing this up. And then also of expressing your story about Sadie, if she went through all those factors, those challenges and, that type of trauma, and she is where she is today, it shows hope. It shows that faith. It shows consistency.
Oh no,
stories like that touch my heart. So that's why I wanted to give huge kudo points for that, because that seriously shows another type of awareness.
Thank you. Yeah, no, she is definitely my greatest accomplishment as far as being a dog trainer. She was literally one that I hate to even say this now, but I had to consider putting her down at one point because of how bad she was, or how traumatized she was and how that was coming out. So I gave her another chance, and from then on we just kind of we got each other, we understood where each other was at, and we just been going up from there. She still occasionally is grumpy towards me. I say grumpy like she's all sass. Yes. Is really what it is.
I've noticed that in the Snapchats, and I love how you reassure that, because if someone isn't aware of those type of growls, if they just know a growl is a growl and they think it's aggressive, that's all they're ever going to think. So by you making sure she's grumpy or she's just sassing back, it puts in new information for other trainers and then also to other individuals. So I think it's amazing of what you do.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, you definitely have to understand body language. It's more than just, especially in bully breeds, it's more than just the vocalization. It's more than just, whether or not their hair standing on end. It's a combination of different factors on how they're feeling.
Yes.
So that's especially with bully breeds, but most dog breeds as well. But bully breeds, how they're feeling is all in their face.
Yes.
It is.
You couldn't have said it more clear. Yes.
All in their face. So that's not the tail. It's not the stance. It's the face.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. So I would like to hear what advice you can give us as Karma dog trainers to continue to strive within our talents, in our talented areas for our training.
So biggest never stop learning, for one.
I like that a lot.
Never think you know everything. You can always learn from somebody else. You can always self-educate. Of course, I've done a lot of self-education, as far as for dog training and just in general.
What tools have you used to apply with, getting more intake and that learning experience?
So I've done a combination of consulting with other dog trainers. Just kind of like I'll go have lunch with either some Karma dog trainers or some other people I know that are dog trainers, and we'll just throw around ideas on how to handle different situations or how they've handled different situations in the past.
So great. Yes.
Yeah, so that's a good one. Also, I've watched webinars. Especially if I'm traveling, I'll like download them all on my computer and just like watch them all on a plane or something. I've done that.
And what websites have you went to download these webinars?
Udemy. So udemy.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That way you guys can have this information of where to download these webinars at. Kaitlin's got you.
Yeah. Also, yeah. So, and then I just I'll Google how to deal with this, even though I haven't done that in forever. That was mainly when I first got Sadie, and I was like, this bitch is crazy. What do I do? But I haven't really done that in a lot. I've just mainly consulted with other trainers and just watching some interesting webinars that I found to be useful. So.
That is so great. Oh my goodness, Kaitlan. This is just, I can't even express this enough, to be quite honest. And excuse me if I'm just going like so over the place. I had some essential oils and your girl, yeah, I'm like wired right now. I could go on a 5-mile run. So I appreciate you like with your patience and then collecting and having more of a clarification for clarity for all of us as trainers, because, we ask ourselves these questions and sometimes we need a refresher, you know what I mean? Because we tend to self-doubt ourselves as individuals. So just hearing what you do and go through and how you keep your, your positivity and your positive affirmations up as well. It's so great to hear. So awesome.
Oh, I did want to add one more thing.
Ooh,
also.
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you who haven't done board and train, maybe you're thinking about doing board and train or something like that, make sure you have a daily curriculum, because it's really easy just to kind of like go by and be like, oh, I'll do this the next day. No, like every day have a goal, because the dog is at your home. It's really easy just to kind of like sit in the motions of just like watching a dog. No, you need to have a daily curriculum on what you're going to work on. With board and train overnight in particular, typically I might work 2 hours a day on actively training. So meaning like working on the sit downs day. And then the rest is mainly passive training. So
and you do that straightforward, the 2 hours straightforward of actively training.
I do it about 10-minute segments.
Okay.
15-minute segments. Just because usually it's puppies and they can't focus that long.
Right.
Yeah. So 10 to 15 minutes of actively training, where I'm working on that, and everything else is usually like getting the dog on a potty training schedule, stuff like that, as well as passive training things such as not jumping on people, not mouthing,
yes,
all that other puppy stuff that people work on.
Yes, because I know with situations like that is one of the like top ones is jumping on people, how to do the proper greets when friends and family comes over. So this has been really helpful. This has been just so awesome. Absolutely. Do you have anything else to add before we peace out and continue to, oh my gosh, spread these vibes, man. I just feel good. I feel good about this. I do.
No, that's pretty much it. Just for those of you who are watching, please let us know what you think. We're just, this is kind of a new method that we're using, and we just make sure that it's useful for you all. So just let us know what you think. And then what do you have going on next week, Skyler?
Absolutely. Oh, goodness. Look, yes. Oh my goodness. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and I had it right here. And then someone, just give me a second. You're just so amazing. I appreciate you daily. Go ahead and get this here. Okay. So next week, I'm so excited about this, guys. And let us know if you tried commenting in the group chat on the side. And Kaitlan and I will definitely figure out of how to work that out for sure. Let's see here. Kaitlan, that is so funny. Look, I went to type like, what I need to do to pull this up. Yeah. And I typed on my laptop instead of my phone. And I'm on my phone is what I'm saying. I'm looking this up on my phone. Like, this is too funny. I need to do yoga. That's what needs to happen.
Okay. So next week, let's see what you're doing next week. Next week, it's going to be how to handle fear and reactivity. So our special guest next week is going to be Allison. She's awesome. I will not be here because, you know, it's Skyler's show. I'm just here.
Hey.
So.
You are still here. You are part of the team. Yes. But you're talking about visually, so I definitely pick up what you're putting down. Did you say Allison Boss? Because it cut out.
Yes.
That's what I was, okay. For some reason, it just did that. So I didn't know if it picked up for anyone else to hear. But yes, guys, it is with Allison Boss. Kaitlan, thank you so much for pulling that up for me while my phone was just doing its own business. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you daily. Continue to send us more questions, whatever you're interested in, you're wanting to learn more about. That way we can come together as a Karma family. This is so hype. Like, oh my gosh, positive vibes all the way. All right. Thank you so much, Kaitlan, for being here with us. I appreciate you. We all do. And thank you so much for your insight.
Absolutely. Thank you, Skyler. See you next time.
Yes, guys. All right. Peace.